much. The reason why we call it the success story is because originally SuSanA was only founded to get the United Nations to put some substance into the year of sanitation 2008. So we got together and said, well, there's just not enough dialogue in the world around sanitation, so let's talk about sanitation, let's talk about sustainable. That's obviously the right way to do it. And we only thought it would last a year, and then, but it's feeding itself. So we're still here. And I think we've become, if you like, an interesting sounding board for some of the issues. So let's see if we can... some people say it's a loose dynamic network. I actually call it a really important place to do your work. It's actually, if you build your work into the capacities of all those great organizations within SuSanA, you will be able to publish, communicate, share knowledge, and probably get money as well, because we have the whole range of capacities. It's a very rare organization from that point of view. It isn't trying to just lobby one thing. It's everybody sharing this kind of information. So the goal, the vision, if you like, is really to contribute to the achievement of the MDGs. That was the original thought back in 2007. So there's a visions document on that. A lot of it reaches out to the health and hygiene aspects, definitely the environment, natural resources, the technology aspects, the finance, economic, socio-cultural. It's all about social learning, and that's the institution. So very nice little document if you haven't seen it. I think it's out on the table there, otherwise we'll get it for you tomorrow. And then it's also, of course, this website is absolutely fabulous what the Secretariat has put together. I think it's one of the most PDF-friendly, very rich websites. That's SuSanA.org, and I'm sure you'll see more of it. And as I said, we got started in 2008 to give the lead agencies feeding to the United Nations year on and in fact we're very much involved in the 2015 pitch. So it started in Eschborn in Germany, and then went on to different locations. Little red dots. Haven't been too much in South America yet. I think that will change. One meeting at the UNICEF in New York. Otherwise, it's been bouncing between the south and then back to Stockholm. So there's been this kind of like need to have 2 meetings a year, and I think that's basically how it's gone. It's 16 meetings over the last 5-6 years. There's a kind of a nuclear reactor diagram here, if you like, but the main thing is that it's set up to take on very active people as well as others that are, if you just want to watch and learn and bring stuff back to their organizations. As I say, it's a workplace, so that there are possibilities, for example, of leading a working group, and then you'd be in the core group. The documents that have come out and the outputs that have come out, like fact sheets, publications, seminars of different kinds, DVDs. The vision documents are interesting. They sort of like plot out what could be policy and what could actually turn out to be something on the ground eventually. The meetings where we exchange experiences, there's a whole lot of stuff that the Secretariat at GIZ has assembled in videos and pictures, and so every meeting is very well documented. As you know, this meeting is being recorded. And I think there's more to press here. Let's see, there's the core group meetings, which are fixed, if you like, a smaller group that brainstorms. We don't have, if you like, barriers to these meetings and saying, no, you can't be a member, or no, you can't come. So there is that sort of looseness to it, and I think from that point of view, it taps on spontaneity. The discussion forum is the new feature. It's about a year old. It's a hot topic discussion area, and that's where there's a richness, if you like, of new things coming out. There's a mailing list, a newsletter, and then there's a Facebook page. There's 191 partner organizations. It's increasing all the time. The individual members are 1,500. They're registered on the discussion forum. And the newsletter has been getting about 3,000 recipients, and there's 1,500 people that look at the Facebook and 440 Twitter. So it's not the hottest area on the internet, but in terms of sanitation, I think it is. So there's a lot to be said about the progress thus far. 207,000 visitors on the website at the start, and now it's 30,000 visitors on the discussion forum. That's the interesting thing about the discussion forum. It's actually out on the net. So you publish your opinion. It's searchable on Google as well. And the members are on the way up. It's I guess that's an exponential curve. So, but I think there's a lot more to go. HIV meetings, they attract about 25,000 people a year. Sanitation's a sleeper. It still doesn't have its own meeting. It's taking time to get it into the water sector. Maybe we have to go into the other sectors like health, agriculture, infrastructure, finance. All those working groups we have touched many sectors of society. Sanitation is all-encompassing. And I think it's coming out of the closet finally and actually making its way onto the front page of most of the papers as well. The partners, now the Secretariat has done some very interesting analyses here, and I'm not quite sure exactly, but we have the total number as a dark green, but it looks sort of yellow or orange to you. The lower parts of the column, so that's the total number of, as we go up year by year, and then the new partner organizations in a given year. So it's it bumped up from, there were 52 that went in at the beginning, so we're holding between, let's say, 20 and 30 per year. And of course, some of these are big organizations like funding agencies and development banks and rather large organizations. So that's what the Christmas tree does look like. And eventually there'll be too many for one slide, I guess. But you can see how low the types they are. There's not one. There's like a botany. It's a lot of species here. 31% are NGO driven. I guess the next one is the education training sector, the capacity building area. And then there's like 2 at the bottom there. That's the private sector and international NGOs. So we have actually a rather broad array, and I think it's an interesting mix. It sort of says we need to know more about sustainable sanitation amongst these stakeholders. I think we learn more from each other. I think we're all quite humbled by the need for this forum, if you like. Grouped by country, it's interesting. So we've got the high incomes definitely there. We have some of the low incomes, but not enough. So there's still I think exactly why that is. It has to obviously do with mobility and internet and things like that. But as we reach out to have more meetings in the South, I think we pick up on greater diversity there. Of course, population-wise, having 20 organizations from India has a major impact compared to having just a few from Sweden or the UK. But it's not United Nations yet, but it's getting there. And then there's more. There's more to it. It's the partner organizations from low and lower middle income countries. So this is, I think the marketing for this has actually gone through by word of mouth, by attending conferences, other meetings, and also just through the internet. So there's something about bandwidth related to this as well. And of course, many of the organizations that you represent or work within have networks, and I think that's how it's actually worked. So the sub-networks have actually patched in. This is GNI, or per capita, on the x-axis. That's in U.S. dollars, and then the national access to improve sanitation. So I didn't do this curve. I believe it was Trevor that probably did it. If he wants to say one, he's probably looked at it about 30 times, and it's the first time I've looked at it. So.
One sentence could basically the size of the dots represent how many SuSanA partners was to try and show where the amount of partners that we have in those countries. These are just for the low-income and medium-income countries according to the World Bank stats, and also where they are as far as improved access to sanitation going forward to try and reach the MDG goals.
We can go back to this. It's interesting. We got Moldova right at the top. That's a dysfunctional. So there are some interesting little bits and pieces here to pull together. So we have 11 working groups, and this came out of a brainstorm way back in 2007. What are the, if you like, knowledge areas where there's a need to pull together what we know and what the tasks are ahead of us. Of course, capacity development being one, capacity building, finance, economics, renewable energies, climate, systems, sanitation systems with technology, but also hygiene and health. Food security, we started right off way back. Productive sanitation, we call it, linked to that. Cities, planning, community, rural schools, emergency reconstruction, sanitation as a business, public awareness, operations and maintenance, and groundwater protection. Each one holds meetings in association with the larger meetings. They stick together, they write fact sheets. Some of them have been very productive. They've written books even. So if you don't know much about these, they're described in all the products are on the net. You can join one of these. You can get some of your work published through it, and you can contribute to the knowledge base. And there's some nice faces here for the different working groups, all 11 here. Some of you know these people, some maybe are not here. I know Jack Simway at the corner, bottom WG9, hasn't arrived yet, right? I mean, he was in Seattle just a while back. But I think he's supposed to be making his way tomorrow. So.
I saw him on Wednesday.
No?
He was at the World Water Week. But
Oh, okay. So it says you're welcome to volunteer your time to become a lead or a co-lead. And that's this whole thing about can you make use of SuSanA for your work? I think that's one of the formulas here. So we're actually a coordination platform, if you like. Just through these meetings, we pull together agendas. And hopefully, for example, the development agencies that are planning their priorities can get some information about what might turn out to be an interesting priority. It's a working platform through the 11 working groups. It's really a sounding board in getting stuff published. We work with some publishers outside. We generate things, and we are, if you like, a college. So you have people with you. You're not working on your own in an abyss. So you can feel your time. Yeah, it's a catalyst. It's of course bringing in policy in this whole aspect of sustainable sanitation. And of course it's creating debate as well. It's not funded. We don't actually go out and say SuSanA GmbH or AB or Company Limited. It's not that. It's all of us together. We bring our own capacities, and so. But with SuSanA in your CV and in your application, there's a better chance of getting funded. That's the model. Secretariat is funded by BMZ, represented here today. I think our hand definitely goes out to the dedication provided within that funding capacity. Without that, the Secretariat would not actually have gotten this far. So it really makes a big difference. And of course, the core group partners are very important here as well. Some achievements, there's some publications, I think they're on the desk out there. The 13 fact sheets, they've all been put together. These are from the working groups. There's a book on case studies, really well documented case studies, analytically done. Very unusual for sanitation projects to get this kind of transparency. A lot of transparency that is lacking, if you like, in the conventional side of things. The library is enormous with 1,300 documents, and You can tap into that on the website, SuSanA.org. And then we've got the forum for the discussion. There's a big database of photos. It's on Flickr. And, of course, these meetings. So, and I think we're just about done.
Okay.
This whole thing about impacts, it's... you may actually see the impacts around you. There are some sessions that actually say the words sustainable sanitation or ecological type sanitation. So we're actually finding ourselves rather surprised actually to see how much understanding there is. So it's actually getting a lot more momentum. We're part of the 2015 goal to get the MDGs done. We've affected the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation very much in their experiments to do these new kinds of toilets. And then we actually were in Africa San in 2011, and also Water Week in Cairo mainstreamed. So, and we're in the middle of the nexus. Lots of knowledge exchange. We're trying to make CLTS work. Once people start digging pits, actually build them in a sustainable manner. We're into risk reduction, a very large component of knowledge exchange. Systems approach. So that's it.